This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Housing Authority meeting for December 12th. Our agenda is posted. We'll jump right over there. First of all, we'll see if there's any guests here today. Call the meeting to order. Okay, I don't see any guests. All right. All right, open time for the public. Doesn't seem to be anyone. People may join us later. Review and approval of previous minutes. I have to confess, I didn't get a chance to read these minutes.
Yeah, sorry, but they're the ones that you don't attend, Jim. Those are
The morning ones.
yeah, because we have to post the meetings. I do a brief summary just to keep the system happy. But if there's anything you guys saw, or the original ones that I sent out after the last minute meeting.
Yeah. I can abstain, but have others, Sarah, Joy, you've had a chance to see them? No? All right. Maybe we'll take a minute to look at them.
No, I got a yes from Joy and Sarah.
I did see them
now. Okay.
And I'm seeing the ones from, what about our last housing authority meeting with Jim? Did you send that one previously?
Yeah, that went out, I think, right after the meeting.
Okay, cool.
Do you need to see it? I can screen it if you want.
Sure, yeah, why not? Then we can approve them all at once.
Okay, of course, I have everyone open, but that one, wait, hold on, let me see. There it is, okay.
Looks like Dan is not able to join us this evening.
I think he's out of town. Unfortunately. Okay. 14th, okay.
Oops.
Oops, what?
No, you're sharing. I was just going to go look at this, but you're making it easy for me.
Yeah, I think Sarah put in a request.
Mhm. Okay, you want to keep scrolling? Or is that the end?
Oh, geez.
Wait, if you could show just the last paragraph of page 1. There we go, that's perfect. Okay. Oh. Lately, my cat's been turning on my music when I'm in quiet meetings by standing on my computer. So that's, in case you're wondering what that sound was. He did that to me earlier too. Okay. Well, personally, I'm ready. I will move to approve the 3 minutes, the one from the November 14th Housing Authority meeting and the ones from the MHP joint meetings.
I'll second.
All right. By voice vote, all in favor?
Simmons, aye.
Kane, I.
Piper, aye.
Sini, aye.
Okay. Good to go.
Thank you all. Sorry, screen jumping here. All right. Final trust preparations. I want to echo the emails I'm just seeing. Some great work, Joy and Sarah. Nice PR with the local paper. I love the quotes. It's good to get the words out there. Thank you. Thank you.
Good times.
I'm sorry, Janet.
I said, nice job.
Yeah, it was a nice job. So let's think about a strategy to approach this for tomorrow night. Actually, I have a question before we start strategizing. And it's a technical town meeting kind of question. Can are voters allowed to arrive at any hour and sign in and vote, or do they have to be there for a certain time in order to cast a vote for a later warrant?
What do you mean? Like,
If you get there at 8 o'clock, can you arrive and vote for something that comes up at 8, you mean, instead of 7? I guess that would
Right.
be a Robert, the moderator, or Ed Gibson. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think so. I think I don't know.
I remember that when hasn't there been times when people start leaving and it goes down under 50 and there's not a quorum? People will call others and are like, quick, come down. You need to just show up so there's a quorum. Are those people then allowed to vote?
I remember that at the caucus. That happened. I don't think I agree with Sierra, though. I don't think if you're not there by 7 o'clock, it's not like voting. Voting closes at 8.
Oh, is that what you're asking, Jim? I'm sorry. I'm confused by what you're asking. I guess.
Yes. I'll restate it. Different words. So let's say I show up at 8:30, right? And I sit down, I register. Can I vote at that point?
I think so.
I don't see why not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And Sierra, I appreciate the story about we need a quorum. I recall that happening too at town meeting, because you're right. If it gets below 50.
I'm pretty sure people show up for specific things to vote on. Like if there's something on for the police department, a lot, like things like that. People will come in.
People come and go.
They won't stay. But I don't know about if there's a time limit on the registration. I'm going to town hall tomorrow. I can ask. If that's helpful.
It makes sense that I have never seen it. Robert say, close the doors. The meeting is beginning. So
yeah,
it's hard.
Don't let anyone in.
But I just thought of that because I'm trying to, obviously, like all of us, get people to go, and sometimes people can't be there for 7.
Right.
Or you could ask Lucy, even might be a good, but I don't think there's any restriction. It's not like voting that you have to be there. The doors close at 8 or something.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think so. Okay. Well, that's my technical question. So now the strategy piece. Someone on the select board, I assume, Joy, I don't know, reads the warrant and introduces.
Yes.
Usually that's how it goes, right?
Yeah. So I was just actually watching the last town meeting to just refresh my memory. The town moderator will move on to it. One of us will say the motions, someone will second it, and then he'll state someone from housing who he asked who is going to speak on behalf of this article, and then I introduce myself. I'll say I'm speaking on behalf of Housing Authority, and I'll just summarize the article and why it's beneficial for the town. Basically the summary is what I wrote up like a little thing, and then I looked at the summary and it's very similar. So I'm just going to say like a couple sentences and then go sit back down. And then I think the moderator says, is there anyone who opposes this article? And that's when people start coming up.
Right.
So if people want to come up and support it, that's fine too. They just state at the beginning, I'm actually in support of this article. I know that Cindy Palmer is going to speak in support from planning board.
And Virginia said she can probably speak in support on behalf of the CPC. And then I did reach out to Todd Barron to get sort of like another perspective as a mortgage lender. And
Nice.
he would do it too.
And I think Chris is going to speak on behalf of the bylaw committee.
Yes. So yeah,
We've got a solid entourage on this bill. I just have to say, I'm pretty proud of us so far.
yeah.
Well, a lot of great work has been done on this, and certainly Shelley's guidance from MHP has made a big difference. But I think the town, town boards, elected folks are definitely on board. It's so logical.
So Jim, I shared the handout that I'm hoping we'll all agree we can hand out at the meeting tomorrow, the one Shelley designed, you know, at a meeting that I ran on Saturday morning, which is always a very group of liberal thinkers. And the only question they really had was, what's the difference between subsidized housing and affordable housing?
Yeah.
So I asked Shelley, I sent her a message and I said, is there a clear definition? And she said, it's kind of squishy, to use her term. So, you know, I just think if that question comes up, it was good practice, you know, for me to kind of present it to a friendly crowd and have a discussion. And, you know, I don't know how we would want to answer that.
I always associated subsidized housing with renters. Like your rent is subsidized. You could be subsidized in a purchase too, but typically subsidized housing is owned, government owned, and you know.
Right. Subsidized means you're getting money from the government for it, or they're paying for part of it. Affordable just means it is affordable, although capital A affordable housing pretty much never exists without being subsidized.
Right. So I think they're interchangeable at times, you know, depending on if it's a capital A.
Right.
But
the house that just happens to be lowercase a affordable may not be subsidized.
Right.
Right. Economy, it probably is.
But I think based on can I share her flyer just so, is that okay?
Yes. I was just looking at it. Share the flyer. I have some thoughts on this too, but let's talk this through because this is a great exercise to talk this through now, I believe.
And Jim, I also forwarded you, because I wasn't sure if you had gotten it, the talking points she sent us more recently.
Yeah, she sent them last week.
Yeah. Which is not something we're going to print, but just something that we'll have for ourselves.
Yeah, I don't even remember seeing that, so I have to, but that's not unusual. I'll go back and search Shelley's.
Last week?
If you just search email for talking points.
Yeah, was that the title of the subject line?
Yep, STM talking points.
I'm seeing it arriving just now.
Yeah, I just forwarded it to you. She sent it to the rest of us, though.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did get it. Yep.
So if we could, just for my brain's sake, and try to facilitate, let's talk first about this, what's being shared, the handout. We'll talk about, are there any questions we have about this handout so we can speak as a unified group? Then I propose that we then, as a group, come to some sort of understanding about affordable versus, I don't even say versus subsidized. And then we'll jump to the talking points. Does that work for folks? I'm sorry, I'm feeling like I often am. I need to compartmentalize to work it through. So if we could start here with what's being shared, do folks have questions about this? I love this summary. I love this. People are going to not understand. I mean, people know what a trust is. I think most voters do, but what's a housing trust? How does it work? Sometimes, for me anyway, when I'm in something deep in the weeds, you know, you start using acronyms and stuff and you don't realize that everyone else out there has no idea what you're talking about. So I like this.
Well, I think one thing that may come up is like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you don't reach that 10%? And it's something that was asked of Joy and I, and I think the article is great. I wouldn't say we had necessarily the most clear answers to it. But as far as I'm understanding, the only bad thing that really can happen is the state can force you to accept like a big subsidized housing development that you have no say over where it goes or anything like that. They can just like plug it down wherever they want. And
where it goes or what it looks like.
Right. So if we're doing our own affordable housing, we can decide where it goes, what it looks like, et cetera, how big it is.
We have more control.
Yeah,
and
my understanding is.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Janet.
I was going to say the housing production plan, which we just updated, also gives us a shield against that happening as well.
Yeah, my understanding of the 10% is just if you as a town haven't reached 10% affordable housing as HUD defines it, right? And that's a certain, at least, there's different grades, like 80% of the local AMI. It starts to get complex explaining it. But if you don't have that 10%, then a developer can come into town and say, I'm going to put some units here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make them, some of them affordable. And the town, regardless of what the town's local plan, bylaws are, et cetera, has no say.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. So to ensure local control,
Mm-hmm.
you need to meet that 10%. That's my understanding.
But the housing production plan also protects us from that happening. As long as they see that it's in our goal to reach that and we're making progress towards that.
That's the key, right? Because it's not infinitely. You can't just have a housing production plan and you're protected forever. You're right, Janet.
It has to be renewed every so many years and updated.
And you have to show progress. Exactly.
So in a way, we're showing by creating a housing trust, we'd be showing that good faith effort that makes it less likely that that's going to happen to us.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty convincing.
All these are means to demonstrate that we are moving toward that 10% goal, that we are working on it. Having housing production plan, having now a housing trust shows, I'll use, Joe, you can tell me, like a good faith effort is a good legal term, I think, to say that the town
Yes, it is a legal term.
a good faith effort to move toward affordable housing. Okay. That's a good strategy. So I like this. Maybe we should we have a vote, Janet, as the team say we're going to hand these out? We agree with this, or do we need to be that formal?
Yeah, we can be formal for fun.
Let's be formal since I brought it up and might as well do it now. But I can't.
I'd like to make a motion that we use this document created by MHP for our special town meeting tomorrow. And it has been approved by the moderator to be handed out at the meeting.
I second it.
All right. A voice vote, please. It's been proposed and seconded.
Kane, aye.
Simmons, aye.
Pepper, aye.
Sini, aye. It is unanimous.
I have to remember I'm taking notes, okay? Making motions and taking notes. Yikes.
We'll give you a minute. Appreciate that. This is good work. So when you're ready, Janet.
I'm going to close that down just so you can, if somebody else has the other document to share, I don't have it up.
I
Let me
do.
just a minute. Let me get to multiples here. Sorry. I got to act. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so
Can you see it?
Yep.
mhm.
I wonder if I can view 2 pages. View.
Side by side, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe you can just zoom in on that one. Can you zoom in a little bit on that?
Get me to zoom in? Okay.
A little bit.
God, do I know how to do that? Sorry.
Or maybe we
Go to view
View.
and then hit in the middle, there's a zoom magnifying glass.
Oh, okay, yeah, here. On at 200? 200? Is that better?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Do we want to go through each one or just review and comment?
I have a comment.
Sure.
So I like number 3. Is this something that we can change, or is this?
These are just, I feel like, notes to us to help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or whatever I think will be helpful to us.
Yeah.
Because something I'm not seeing, although maybe it's on page 2, is that might fit well between 3 and 4. There's nothing about seniors. So 3 kind of talks about, people currently in the labor force. Doesn't really talk about first-time homebuyers, which it could.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems to be focused on number 3 on the economics of it and different incomes, and I appreciate that. But I'm wondering if we just want to note,
I won't
younger
forget
first-time home buyers and what do we call it? Home finishers, whatever. Older folks who want to downsize. Finisher homes, starter homes, and finisher homes.
Do you want me to edit this document, or do we want to just?
I mean, if this is for us, I think we all know that and we can remember that. But if it's something we're handing out,
It's not something we're handing
we
out.
weren't
So-
handing this one out.
No, I don't think we're bringing this up unless we have to.
Right.
yeah, these are notes to us to give us, right?
To support if there are any
Mhm.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
So I think-
love this one because this is the first time we've really seen well, okay, so I love this because it goes, when people who are like the change resistors are like, no, I like things as uniform as they are, and we don't need more like diversity. So here's here's an economic reason why you need more diversity. And similarly, I remember when we were talking about the hypothetical, the thing that Todd and Bob were going to put together, the affordable housing there, and someone was concerned about the cost increase on the schools. But this is saying there's a decline in children enrolled in local public schools. So, okay, let's see. It increases the town's cost per child. So basically that sort of argues with that point that says this is like the cost burden on the schools is not an issue. First of all, not everyone who moves in is going to have children. That might be older adults. And second of all, having more children actually could be help stabilize the schools.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, these are really good. The starter and finisher homes things is just, we know those arguments.
Yeah, but this is
we
good
don't
to
need
have as a
cover
reason.
those.
So I guess, do you want to see the second page?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great.
So Sierra, are you planning to speaking as well? If there's anybody, if Robert asks, is there anybody else that wants to speak in favor of, or only if it gets?
Well, I think I haven't decided. I think if everyone else goes in favor and I'm like, oh, there's this one point that like everyone missed, I really need to get up there, then I would. But if I feel like everything has been said, then I'll just wait and see if someone has an argument and then go up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Good.
Kind of thinking the same thing. We have so much support for this. Honestly, our need to support may not be necessary. I'm hoping.
I feel like
if no one comes up to oppose, right? We don't need to keep bombing our bell.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think if anyone just speaks in favor of it and then people vote, I think, or no one speaks negatively, then I don't think we need to keep going up. I think it just matters having the people who are on committees and boards speak in support of it and leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I love this preparation. I think the four of us can go up to the mic and speak in turn to address any question. We can sit near one another and strategize about who answers. That's have this material with us and be ready. But I no need to repeat myself. If we get all that support from the other boards and there's no opposition, we run with this.
Mm-hmm. Much better to waste time preparing than to show up unprepared.
Exactly. It's not a waste of time preparing.
Right. But I'm just saying. Let's spend time preparing and then not need it, then not spend that time and then need it. Like,
exactly. This is a wonderful document.
I mean,
MHP, they really crushed it. Are helping us with this and the press release and everything. They're amazing.
What if
Without
someone
naming
comes up-
names, I'm sorry, Joy, go ahead.
One thing that isn't addressed on here is just just something that I am afraid that might happen is someone coming up to the podium and saying, I am absolutely opposed to this because I don't want to create affordable housing or low income housing because of the type of people it brings in and the riffraff that it could bring to our community, which
Could happen.
not that I'm saying that it could or could not happen. It's not really.
No. I mean, someone could make that statement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that that's a state we as a housing authority and many of the people on the boards and people who are involved in the town government are pretty well versed on what's going on with the town and affordable housing and housing needs in the town, and et cetera. But not every citizen is very educated about that. And yes, we're going to have a handout, but people come in with their biases no matter what. So that's just something that I have heard in town from people that aren't as educated about it.
I do think Sierra's comment earlier about if we don't do this and we don't have a housing production plan, then a developer can come in and do whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
He leaves control.
I think it's that
Southampton.
I think it's number
I think that's
three.
a good counterpoint.
And I think also number 3 about the labor force is important. And I also think, and this is sort of what I wanted to say at that one planning board joint meeting, was like, we're not here to debate whether or not we need affordable housing. Like, this money legally has to be spent on affordable housing. We're just making it so we can use it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
not increasing tax money. It's like, that decision has already been made by the state. Obviously, I'm not going to get combative and sassy like I am right now, but I'm
You
just
can be. You can. I just want us to practice. Like, I just like, what arguments are we going to
Say that
use?
in a more
Are these
diplomatic-
talking points versus, you know what I mean? Like, okay, what exactly are we saying if this gets brought up?
yeah.
And it also provides another avenue if someone wants to gift or donate towards this cause, then there really is no way to do it without a housing trust. So
I will happily stand up and be the person to answer if someone starts mentioning the riffraff. I'm going to practice not getting emotional about it.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. That takes a lot of.
It does. I think let's talk this through for a minute. So
What people are saying about the bike path, just saying.
right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
It's a very similar arguments, right?
Yes.
We don't want the bike path we don't
Yes.
want affordable housing. You guys are going to bring the riffraff.
Yep.
It's all about the riffraff.
Right.
It goes back to the riffraff.
but
But it's also
they did approve the purchase of property to build an affordable house.
yes. And we had the same concerns.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. That said, Janet, I think we need to anticipate, every possible.
Absolutely.
I think if I'm walking into town meeting and I'm opposed to this, and I see, our worry is, right, that there's a bunch of folks who are silent, don't say anything, but vote against this.
Yes.
And we're surprised, right? Because there was no opposition and all of a sudden it goes down burning into defeat. That would be a tragedy for us. I propose that if, as it's introduced the way we've described, and there's the number of people from the different boards, not even us, supporting this, right? If I'm secretly opposed, I'm going to have to say something or I'm going to lose, right? So I think it's very, very, very unlikely how we see this presented with the support it'll be presented with, that if there is this silent opposition, the silent opposition, if they remain silent, is going to go down to defeat because of how many people are supporting it. They're seeing it in front of them. So they're going to have to speak. And if they speak, then we have some good answers here for that. And I think we start, honestly, if there's opposition, we've been using the term riffraff,
That is the most benign term that I can use.
Yeah, I know.
If anyone,
I know
I'm
what you
bringing a
mean.
flask, and if anyone says
We're speaking in code here, aren't we?
Thanks, Viv.
We address it with the economic first.
Yes, right, because racists love the economy.
Oh, yes. If it's racism, we address it with.
Yes. No, you're right. No, we should put a label on it because we have. If we don't, then
Right.
we're not speaking the truth. Yeah. No. I mean, it's very. This town is a funny little town. I remember the marijuana. People speaking out against the marijuana. It was state legislation, and then people got really upset last special town meeting about the splash pad. I mean, there's just you never know.
Every town has
what is going to get people up there speaking their truth. Yeah. And I feel like the affordable housing bylaw might be one of those things.
It could be, and I think we all need to, and I know you guys know this too, right? We need to be respectful of folks' different opinions. We want to help them understand that and this is another way we can look at it. It's not just the economic piece, but it's also how this greatly benefits the people who live in this town, their neighbors. How, again, the starter homes and the finisher homes, these are their neighbors, these are their friends, these are their family. I was just talking with Megan today. I was at the Heritage bookstore, right? And we refreshed our friendship and how she helped with master plan. And, she lives in Westfield.
Moved to Westfield because she couldn't afford.
She moved to Westfield because she can't find a place in Southampton that's affordable. So there's the starter end, right? And the finisher end, we can, stories say a lot, right? Janet, remember the elderly woman who came to us nearly in tears so long ago, who now lives in East Hampton.
Yep.
All right, Jim, I changed my mind. I think you need to be the one to answer the riffraff comment. Your approach is so much more palatable than what I was saying. So
I tell you what, Sierra.
There are so many stories, though. I think that should get brought up if anyone.
Stories make it.
There are so many stories. I mean, even on Conservation Commission, Brittany, she grew up in Southampton, moved to Westfield. There's so many people that just grew up here and can't afford to live here unless they are living with their parents and their parents give them their home.
You testified well on your own situation, Joy. So I'm happy to do that. But you know how this works, right? So it's like point counterpoint. Someone makes a point, you counterpoint it, then someone else comes up and we have another person. And so we just repeat, maybe to you're ready, Sierra, to escalate if we need to, right? Our goal is we want votes. We don't want to alienate folks.
Yeah.
And we want them to understand that this isn't about worries and fears that people have. This is about, we do want to make Southampton a more diverse community. And we also want to serve the people who currently live here. And they're not mutually exclusive. And a lot of times people think they are. They're not. They're not. There's a lot of new people in town. If you look at the demographics, another point, right? How Southampton has grown. Southampton is no longer just this, colloquial, it's just Southampton residents only. No, there's a lot of new people in town.
I would say maybe at least two of them are on this committee, right? I don't know how long you've been here, Jim, but I know.
Well, I guess, I've been here for 16, 17 years. That makes me pretty new in some people's eyes.
Yeah, I've been here 14 and I'm still pretty new. Joy's the homegrown gal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 97, 96, then 97. I started going to school in 96 and then 97, the house was finished. Yeah, so for a while.
And Sarah, how long?
Forget it. My husband's family, forget it.
I've been here, I think, 4.5 or 5.5 years. I think 4.5.
Yeah. So, people coming into town brings, a lot of positive things to the town. And we also want to respect the people who built the town, right? We don't want to crowd them out. And that's what's happening right now. The story of that, older woman who had to move to East Hampton. We can do better as a town. We can do better.
Do you want me to keep sharing this? Or do we have more comments? I just have to step away for a second.
Sure.
Okay. Are you good, Jim? We need to.
I am. You can unshare. Or
Not until Joy comes back. Okay.
Okay, so we talked about compartmentalizing this. I do want to talk a little bit about how I see the difference between affordable and subsidized. For me, the easiest explanation is subsidized is when you're renting. The rent is $1,200, and based on your income, you pay X, and the federal government pays Y. It's subsidized. Where affordable is, it's a set aside where the price of the home is a certain amount that is not the market rate. It's affordable. So it's subsidized by a combination of, through CPC, taxpayers in town and the federal government, right? Or the state government at least, because CPC money comes back with state funds.
Matching funds between the state and.
Yeah. So that's to me the difference is they're both cost reduced, but one is done on a monthly basis when you're renting, and the other is done with the price of the home. And the home is in quote affordable, capital A affordable status in perpetuity. Now we can get into capital A affordable versus small a affordable, because those are all within our goals. But when we talk specifically about, I believe, a housing trust, we're talking about capital A affordable, right? We're working the bylaws and et cetera with the planning board for capital A and lowercase a affordable. But when it comes to the housing trust, that's capital A affordable. I just want to clarify. That's my understanding, right?
And if we can have a sense of, I'm trying to find a document I put together before the last meeting that talked about what is the mean income for affordable.
The AMI.
Yeah.
Average median income. So it's
Springfield area,
right. Springfield area. You can Google HUD probably, and I don't have it in my back pocket.
As long as somebody's ready to answer that question, because it may come up.
Yeah, I'm ready. So basically, it's affordable housing defines properties that take up less than 30% of a renter's income when a renter's income is defined as the average median income in the community, or 80% of the average income.
It's 80% of the AMI.
Right. Yeah.
And you can have different degrees.
Okay, so it's 80% of the AMI is the number we're based on, and the affordable house costs less than 30% of that annually.
Right. You work the calculation backwards so that your monthly mortgage payment is 30% of your income, and that income has to be within 80% of the AMI.
Yes, totally.
And there are degrees of affordable housing. So there's 80%, 60%, there's some.
And it depends on the site.
And the capital A affordable in this area in Massachusetts refers to the 80% margin or mark for there.
That's the minimum. You can go for lower. You can say we're shooting for 60% on it.
Okay.
I've seen it, developments in some towns, they have multiple affordable units. Some of them are at 80%, some are at 60%. Those are big towns that have big apartment complexes. We're talking about developing affordable homes that people own.
And
Janet,
both.
you were going to say something?
No. I'm
Oh,
just,
okay. I thought-
We also don't have the infrastructure for a lot, like
Right.
multi-units. We
Yeah.
don't have sewer.
Right. We don't have the infrastructure, but it's not impossible for a developer to come in here and do it because
If they wanted to
Nate
put
keeps
sewer.
changing, but the units behind Paisanos,
Mm-hmm.
that happened. In
Yeah.
other words, it's possible. So I can look up the AMI, but really, honestly, that changes as the economy changes. The numbers is a good number to know for in the moment for those who are curious. But what really is important for people to understand, I feel,
process.
is that the concept of it.
Yeah.
How you back into a price of a home because that's broken down by the mortgage payment and et cetera. So
I just think
the price is set based on the ability to pay.
Joy, do you want to stop sharing? Do you mind?
Oh yeah, sure. I wasn't sure if you were still
everyone-
talking about something.
It sounds like everybody's comfortable speaking to it regardless if the question comes up. So that's the.
Yeah, if it comes up, what's the difference between affordable and subsidized? Yeah. It could.
And
I
what
mean,
is
in some ways, I'm hoping that the citizens are this well informed and curious to ask these questions. You know, I mean, it'll be great if it passes and people are just like pushing a button, they don't even know what they're passing. But people have good questions. I'd like to be able to answer them.
Sure.
Yeah. An engaged voter. All right. Other strategies or based on what you're hearing, no names, please, but are there any other things people are hearing around town that we might, that's a point that we might have to address that we can develop a strategy?
I mean, I know I shared an email that I received and I think with the understanding that between us, MHP, bylaw committee, select board, town council, all reviewed the current article. It's kind of satisfied everybody's.
They were satisfied with the language used in the words.
Yeah.
So in case it sounds like that probably not going to happen, Janet, but if we go down that rabbit hole of the language, the people who approve the language and who help develop it are people familiar with this kind of thing. You know, MHP, again, our town council looked at it, right? So
bylaw committee. I mean, there's just a number of people that select board that, you know.
a lot of fingers on that, people with knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we just need a simple majority. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, simple majority.
That's important.
I'm looking at the warrant now and I don't see, sometimes I feel like they would put sometimes if finance is meeting tonight, aren't they?
I don't know that they would.
If finance supports it or not. I know at some point, either during the meeting, I feel like finance has some kind of input.
Usually on the warrant, it states whether it's in their purview or whether they support or not support.
Yeah, when's the last time we looked at the warrant?
I'm looking at it now and I don't see it. Even with the budget and financial items, I don't see.
Maybe they decided it wasn't in their purview.
The finance committee, nothing for financial items. I don't see the finance committee's
Weigh in.
Position, on anything. So I don't know.
They seem a little behind on things. And so I could see them like figuring that out, like since that's been posted and then printing a version that actually has their responses to it on the day of.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual that most of this is.
Yeah, usually they have something, especially for the budget and finance items.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm not telling. Are we good, or there seems to be some hesitancy?
No,
No, I'm just wondering if finance committee is gonna state that they support, or if we need that even.
Does finance committee always weigh in on it? I mean, this is a financial, so you would think they would, but
No, they
weigh in
don't.
on every warrant.
well,
No.
I would say I don't know if it's a bylaw thing, so they may not weigh in on it. But typically there's always, having been on a finance committee and also having been to so many town meetings, they always say support. So finance supports, or so I
Doesn't
don't know.
support or no position.
Right.
Yeah, see, this warrant, the date of this warrant is November 25th. I think they probably are adding it to a later date. I bet they didn't have those responses by November 25th. Just my thought.
Well, I'm looking at, okay, yeah. So that's, November 25th. I thought there was an updated one since then, but it should have, would have
Yeah,
been.
the one I have is from November 25th, and that was what was sent out.
Yep.
From
So when it's on the town website, so.
But I think if it does come to it, I think they do support it from what I heard at that very brief moment.
okay. I just wanted to bring that up because I saw that it wasn't on there.
Okay.
Okay. I want to beat this horse severely. Are there any other strategy issues that we need to discuss? Any things that we can perhaps anticipate and try to proactively address here, so we're ready to? Okay. All right, then. Moving on. So next agenda item is the property update. So I did hear from Megan McDonough of Habitat, and they really, so locally, it seems both Ed and the sense we got from the Concom, their lack of interest in the project, the worry about wetlands is not a local worry. It's a habitat worry. It's almost, I don't know if they just have a previous experience, but it seems like they have a checklist, and there's got to be some way to have someone essentially sign off on wetlands before they dive in. And so she sent me the name of someone. I'll share what she said. Glad to hear things are progressing. A professional wetland scientist can flag the wetlands and then put together an application for the Conservation Commission. I asked for a recommendation from a volunteer and got you this number, and there was someone named Emily Stockman. So I'm struggling with this because, again, a professional wetland scientist can flag. I'm not aware that there's wetlands, so I'm.
So I guess why are we even? I guess I don't understand why we're talking about habitat at this point without going through the process through 30B of property and the town owned property. And have you spoken to Ed about what his
like
next
developing
step?
an RFQ or RFP?
Yeah, what are the next steps? Because I understand he and Randall are working with
the state for a cutout.
For curb cuts. And then I think, I don't know what Habitat needs, but I don't think they haven't responded to any RFQ yet or whatever to
right.
be involved. So.
Well, it's a good question. It's a chicken and egg question as far as I see it. I feel, and I'll say it here in a recording and publicly, that, I have a bias. I think without, frankly, a lot of true knowledge about it, I believe that Habitat is going to be a preferred partner only because, I'm not aware of any not-for-profit builders out there. So I think Habitat's in the business of creating affordable housing. And so it
I think
seems to
there's
me,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
it seems to me like a good vendor to be ready to work with. I don't think we work with them exclusively, but I think if we're going to have, for example, maybe without all these things in place, if there's an RFP, they don't even bother. Like, well, we need this first. So it's a chicken and egg thing in my mind. And if we want to potentially work with Habitat, then these are the things they require, it seems.
Well, if we have to flag wetlands, then that's going to be with anyone. It doesn't matter if it's just Habitat.
That's true. If that's what's required.
Well, yeah, I guess that's my question. That's Habitat keeps coming back with us. And I'm wondering every time, if I had bought the property, if you had bought the property, and I say, okay, we have it surveyed and it's perked. Is that part of the process? I'm not a builder, to have a wetlands clearance on a property.
Yeah, not necessarily. Because it abuts Conservation Commission land.
Maybe that's
I think you have to, for every building permit, Concom signs off, like all the departments sign off. So Concom will still sign it, even if you have nothing for like wetlands or anything. They're just saying there's no wetlands, nothing to worry about on that property. So, yeah, before you can even build, Conservation Commission would see that and they would know that it's that abutting property. I don't know if the wetlands are already flagged out there. I think that's a Conservation Commission question. Emily Stockman is someone they work with a lot. We're familiar with her, and she's familiar with Southampton.
so you've heard that name before.
Yes. Yeah.
She
I think they recommend her. They've hired her before as a consultant for projects. But yeah, so if there is an issue with wetlands, who did the survey?
Ed said, I was talking with Ed, and he said, he said it was surveyed. It's on the record. We have it at the town. He confirmed that it was perked.
I would want to know who the survey is, who did the survey.
Okay.
Because from personal experience, you have the property surveyed. The surveyor will tell you there's wetlands here, here, and here. You need to get Conservation Commission out here. You know what I'm saying? So the surveyor is the one who kind of knows that, what those boundaries are. So I don't see why they couldn't.
Or conversely,
unless they needed I don't know. I would start with the surveyor first and go from there.
There's a lot of logic in what you're saying, because the surveyor conversely could say, we don't see wetlands in our survey, and can confirm that. And that's what we present to Habitat, or frankly, any builder.
Yeah, if they didn't see wetlands, and I don't think then it's abutting a property that has wetlands. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are wetlands.
Right. And to your point, maybe that's why Habitat's aware that it's abutting Concom property. So that's a good start. I will own that, follow up again with Ed, find out who the surveyor is, try to talk to the surveyor and get a sense.
Okay. Usually they have it on the plans.
Maybe it was heritage.
It was probably recorded. If it was recorded, then it would be on the plans who surveyed it. I could probably find out right now.
Ooh.
Sure.
So while Joy's digging, I'll also say that, Habitat does seem interested, but to Janet's point, that's another thing I can ask Ed, since I'm going to
What's the number again?
354 College
354.
Highway.
354. Okay. Thank you. And we're looking for plans. It'll take me a couple minutes.
Okay.
What are you
So
looking
another
at,
thing I
the
can do
assessors?
is follow up
Or-
with Ed and see what our next steps. And Janet, you had some specific, I thought you did, things to check off or to question.
No, I mean, just like any town process, there's always a bidding process and, I mean, the state and governmental entities just have a very strict,
But I thought you mentioned something like, I don't know if it's so any kind of check with Concom or
I don't know. I guess that would, I don't know. I mean, that's,
it's all new to us, all of us, right?
I mean, I think as we put together an RFP or an RFQ, there are certain criteria that have to be addressed. So that might highlight some of the things that Habitat is referring to. And I'm certainly not against Habitat. I'm by any means. I think they're great. So, but you never know. There may be another nonprofit builder in the state that might be interested, that might respond to a bid. And
assume nothing. You're absolutely right, Janet. Assume nothing.
I mean, and unfortunately, the state won't allow us to assume anything. So, just.
So we might as well be on the front end of that rather than catching it. Yeah, it's.
I mean, they're a great reference, and just I certainly appreciate all the information they've provided and meeting us. I met with them out there initially when we were looking at it with Habitat.
Right.
So, but there is.
I have a question for you. A question for you and Sierra, who have regular communications now with Shelley. I mean, does MHP have a list of?
It has to be posted on the central website, and people go to that website and that are, that would be builders that would be interested. That's where the RFP would be posted, that there is an RFP.
So it goes back to an RFP. But I mean, have they had success with that in the past, MHP, posting on their website and actually having, I guess so that to be a nonprofit builder, it can be any builder who's willing to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's MHP or not. I don't,
So what's the website then?
Well, the central registrar or whatever. I know when we were looking to get an architect to develop a feasibility study, you have to put it on the central registrar for the state. And that's where people, builders or architects or engineers go and look to see what business is happening in.
Understood. I was just hoping there was some more direct marketing means for this kind of building. Maybe not, I mean.
I don't know that for one way or the other for a fact, but I just got the impression.
That's what I'm asking. If there is, would Shelley know that?
I think she's already mentioned before something about 30B, and that's, I think, Mass General Law talks about how it has to be posted and the process of going to RFP. But I mean, once Ed has a little more time on his plate for, after the special town meeting and stuff. So.
Yeah, I won't poke the bear until next week. Poor Ed is up to his eyeballs, I'm sure.
I mean, it's section 16 of chapter 30B applies to the purchase, sale, lease, or rental of real property. So, I mean, I know Shelley had referenced that in previous meetings, not so much with the trust, but I think when we've met with her as a group before. So I don't know much more about it than that,
I'm sorry, I was having trouble getting that.
I know Sterling has mentioned in our more larger conversations with the housing authority about 30B and you have to go through that process. And that's why I know about 30B was more through Shelley. But I mean, we can tap her but I think also Ed would have a handle on what needs to be done.
Ed is pretty essential to this process.
Yes.
He knows a lot.
It's just the Procurement Act. So that's 30B is the Uniform Procurement Act. So that's everything kind of has to be funneled through that, I believe. So
That's just a standard means to make everything transparent.
right.
But it's nothing to be overlooked. Okay. All right. Any luck, Joy?
I am so close.
Okay.
I might have to send it to you guys after. I found the Conservation Commission plan for that abutting property. So from there, because it wasn't popping up based on the address, I'm guessing because the parcels were split. So from there, though, it has a plan. This was purchased from a trust, right? Yes. Okay, good. Now I have a plan. I have the plan number and everything. I can get that because it says on their plan.
Was this property part of the conservation property or to the house next door?
No. So the plan I'm looking at is, if you ever looked at plans, recorded plans, they have their property plan, but then every abutting property, they have the page and plan book number for those. So then you can just go and look those up.
I see. Gotcha.
They name the owners and then the plan and where the plan is located. So
Okay.
it's the focus is the conservation property, but I can find the our property from there. I'm gonna write it down though. Sorry, sometimes these take digging. I can tell you that what is it? Holmes and Holmberg did the survey for Conservation Commission.
For that property, not necessarily for this property.
No,
So
not-
354.
yeah. 35.
Holmes and Holmberg.
But we don't know who did the survey for 354 College Highway.
I'm gonna find out though. Book.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the last time this was done. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one.
I got my outfit for Joy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm in a meeting, guys.
Cute.
These are old plans, so it doesn't say anything of helpfulness. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, Ed seemed pretty confident, so I'm gonna ask him.
Okay, yeah, please do, because I can't find anything that's recorded, and what is recorded says I don't know what it is, to be honest. It says Southampton, but it's popping up as Belchertown, and that's not right. So I don't know if someone recorded the wrong plans. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
That was a bust. I thought I was close.
All right. So I will follow up with Ed to confirm who did the survey for the 354 College Highway.
Okay.
And then, so we can look or have him look at the document and see what it says about wetlands as a means to essentially, Janet, another next step is it RFP, RFQ? Does that become part of that, the RFP, right? That this is the status on wetlands. It's just to put it out there and make it
It would be good to,
be
yeah.
transparent about it.
Absolutely.
So basically, I'll follow up with that on next steps, which has multiple components to what next steps could be. Does anyone have any further thoughts on this topic or advice for me as I approach Ed? Or it's exciting stuff. We're moving. We're progressing. These were essentially our agenda items for this evening. The next agenda item is anything that cannot wait until the next meeting.
So I just wanted to mention, I did send a link to a video of a webinar that I attended that was more select board driven, but I think Chris shared it with me because she knows I have all my free time during the day. So I don't know if anybody got a chance to sit through that, but it's very informative, and it talked about a new there's a new starter home zoning, a new law called Chapter 40Y for starter homes. So I haven't done any more research about it. I think it's cannot exceed 1,850 square feet. There's some criteria in it, but I know we've spent so much time talking about starter homes. I was so excited to hear that, there's a new Chapter 40Y.
Is this something that's working its way through the legislature, or is this passed?
I think it passed like the week before this webinar.
Really? So this is exciting, because in my mind, starter homes and as price point wise and finisher homes can be the same category often.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why they just call it starter homes.
Well, that was, again, it was a presentation. So I captured what I captured.
I'm looking at it now.
It does, and it does say,
law that says starter home zoning districts.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I think most people know, they think of starter homes, they know what that is. I'm going to credit this team here with coming up with the term finisher homes and us being ahead of this curve.
Good. So anyway, there's some criteria now, and Joy has it, but I was just wanted to make sure I mentioned the new Chapter 40Y, and again, restriction on size of the house. And so it's another zoning district. And I don't know how that affects what the planning board is doing.
Well, that's jumping right into. Go ahead, Joy. I'm sorry.
No, we should definitely bring that up, because they're
Right. That's what I was going to say. Should we communicate this to Paul or through Cindy or Dan, or say,
to Paul,
are you aware of this new law? Because this could be one of those, like, I'm jumping way ahead, but it sounds like you could do this 40Y as an overlay district.
Yeah, it kind of said based or overlay zoning district adopted in a municipality. So,
right.
Yeah, I think it certainly should go to the chair.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's somebody can, I know chair to chair, right, Jim? It always falls on your lap.
I can I'm their liaison. It's fine. I can send it to them.
Okay. If you can send them the link too, is that what you're going to do?
I'm going to send this. I'm just going to copy and paste it and send it to Paul. And do you want me to CC you, Jim?
Please. Yeah. Thank you. And I think it's not subverting anything for us to verbally share with Cindy and Dan, just so they're aware. They're certainly attuned to what we're trying to do, and they're on the planning board.
Yeah.
So is someone willing to do that piece?
I'm just asking him to bring it up as an agenda item for the next meeting.
Right. And I'm just
You want me? I can just
trying to be
see.
proactive in that. So if Cindy and Dan are aware when it's brought up.
Okay, I can just CC them to the email then.
I was going to say, I mean, sending the link to them is probably the,
Yeah, I'll just send the link to. I'll send the
If
email.
that's kosher.
yeah, you don't want to get a majority talking back and forth. So that's the only
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly. Which I forget at times when I get excited and start chatting in email. So I appreciate when people put the brakes on. All right. That was good. Thank you, Janet, for that. That's important. So you've offered a summary so far. Are there any other elements of that training that you're like, oh, I really want to make sure I communicate this or whatnot? And first of all, it goes without saying, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I really appreciate that you take the time to attend these and inform this group. So I'm sorry if I'm harping on like for more information, but I appreciate that you do that. And I don't want you to feel that you don't have an opportunity to share because it's good stuff.
Well, I send you the link. I expect you to sit through it when you're trying to go to sleep at night, You get a chance to fast forward it. That's the good news. So,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
but we've talked so
Right.
much about starter homes, so it was just really hung with me a lot. So, and I don't know if I just saw something about, I'm sorry, the DLS just sent out. I thought I saw an email. Just bear with me for a second as I
Sorry.
go through it about community one stop for growth FY24.
I need a second, folks. Sorry.
So this community one stop for growth FY24 expression of interest is now open. Isn't that what you looked at, Sarah, the last time or something? The one stop.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
So
I think, what we determined is they usually like to fund things that are like large impact type things, like are going to create like multiple units of housing. And we didn't really have anything to the scale that was competitive for them.
we didn't even own any property at the time. So I didn't know if owning property made a difference or not. So
It might make a difference. We could look into that.
I don't know. I don't want to certainly waste anybody's time, but I get the DLS alerts and I just noticed that
You want to forward that to me just so I have it on my
yeah,
radar?
I'll send it. Yeah. I'm sure Chris has it. So okay.
You folks hear me now?
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, Jim, I got from the Division of Local Services, an email talking about the community one stop for growth, which I know Sarah had tinkered with last year with the grant committee, and I don't know if there's value in doing it anymore, but if we're any further along, just because we own an acre, so. But Chris may know some. So I sent the link to Sierra, Jim. Okay. Do you get those, Joy? Do you get the DLS reports?
Yes, I do. I do.
I mean, I think when I was on the assessors, I signed up for them, and so I just keep getting them. I don't often spend time with them, but
Neither do I. I think I hit the first couple months I deleted them. I thinking they were spam, and then people kept bringing them up. I'm like, oh wait.
So I
Yes,
just saw that title, so that's all.
Okay. I am ready to move on to the next agenda item, unless there are any other items that cannot wait until the next meeting. All righty. So the next
Nothing.
agenda item is to schedule the next meeting.
Oh, I do have a question. Did we figure out if Dan is joining?
So
The process that he needs to go through?
I'm still waiting for a definitive answer from Ed on that.
Okay.
About the state,
Yeah,
Okay.
but
but it wouldn't, he hasn't submitted a volunteer application or anything either, right? So,
So he needs to do that. He hasn't done that. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if he needs to or not, but it probably wouldn't hurt if he had.
He probably does. I think Ed required like that.
well, so to clarify for me, at this point, Dan is not a member. He's not a voting member. True or false? Or he is?
False.
True,
He's
he's
not
not a voting member, right?
Okay,
He's not a member,
He's not a member.
right?
right. Okay. So the question is, can he be the one appointed by the state? Or because he's the fifth member, right? And this is a 5-member board. So in theory, he should be the state rep. Can we can't have another person and not have a state rep, can we? And like squeeze it out? That's an Ed question, I guess.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask Ed that. Yeah.
Yeah, Ed wasn't sure actually. So let me get back to him. Good.
But he
Thanks.
still may have to submit a volunteer application. I don't know if he does or not. So,
Yeah, right. I don't know if the state requires different or I think the state somehow has to be appointed by the governor. There's a process. Wait. Okay. Lots of questions for Ed.
January 9th for our next meeting.
Let's see. It's January 9th, the second Monday. It is. Does that work for everybody?
His ComCom might meet on that day just because the second, I think, is a holiday, right? So,
I think they aren't meeting at all
okay.
unless something comes up. But they said their next meeting isn't until February.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yep, works for
Nice.
me.
So 1, 9.
I may or may not be able to go. It's my dad's birthday.
You can invite
But
him.
most likely I will be because he also teaches Greek school on Monday night. So I don't know if he's going to skip that for his birthday. We'll see. I don't think so.
But we just need 3 minimum, right?
You did before me, so I think, but I probably will be there.
Done it before, for sure.
Good. All right. All right. Having set the next meeting, the next item is to
Make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No, I was making the motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
That's better. All right, voice vote, please.
Simmons, aye.
Piper, I.
Sini, aye. That one's always unanimous.
All right, have a good night, guys. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.